This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Protecting students and faculty as they return to campus during the pandemic. Tonight, Indiana University is taking us through their screening process. Thanks for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. Over the next 2 weeks, IU students in Bloomington will continue moving into on-campus housing. We were there today talking to both parents and students about the safety precautions the university is taking before letting students move in.
Well, yeah, I mean, my last year of high school, about half of it was cut short, and I missed a lot of end-of-the-year activities and celebrations.
Jacob Esch is a freshman at IU who is preparing to start classes on August 24th at the Kelley School of Business. Before getting to move into his dorm on Sunday, he had to get tested for COVID-19.
I'm pretty glad that they're doing this because even though I had a pretty recent test, there's always the risk of getting COVID-19 in that 2-week period.
Sunday, all incoming students who plan to stay in residential or in Greek housing had to go through this on-arrival COVID-19 screening process.
Very stressful. This is adding stress. We felt sad to understand what he's missing out on potentially. But at the same time, it's counterbalanced by the phenomenal job that IU has done all along the way.
We've asked them also to be tested before they arrive. We've asked them not to come if they're sick, and we've asked them to hunker down as much as possible and be quarantined. So hopefully as few as possible will arrive infected.
If a student tests positive during the screening process, they have to either go into isolation on campus or isolate at home.
It's hard to say how much safer, but most models show that if you do relatively repetitive screening and you're constantly pulling out people who are infected out of the general population and get them to isolation, that's how you keep the number of total infected to a minimum.
Abby Armstrong and her parents went through the process and they were able to move her into her dorm on Sunday. Armstrong says she's excited to make new friends this school year, despite most of her classes being online.
It'll make things a little bit harder meeting people, but I think it'll be an interesting experience and we'll all bond over that.
It certainly gives you a little bit of pause, but I think the university and the kids and everybody has done everything that they can to make it as safe as possible, and so we just have to take it day by day.
The university has set up 540 dorms for students that test positive for the coronavirus. The doctor we spoke with says they know there will be positive cases, but he says they won't panic. They have plans in place so students and university officials are as prepared as possible. And the doctor we spoke with says the screening process allows them to find people who might not know that they have COVID-19 and get them out of the general public. He says each person they find makes the entire community safer. New at 11, we've just learned Avon High School students will transition to e-learning starting Tuesday. A message posted on the district's website says students will attend classes in person on Monday and switch to e-learning for the remainder of the week. The district is planning to move to a hybrid schedule on the weeks of August 17th and 24th. Full in-person instruction is expected to return on August 31st. At least 3 students and 2 staff members have tested positive for COVID-19. The district started the school year on July 29th. For the 4th consecutive day, the Indiana State Department of Health reports more than 1,000 new positive COVID-19 cases. According to numbers released today, 1 person has died from the coronavirus and 1,048 Hoosiers have tested positive. The total number of confirmed deaths is now 2,835. More than 74,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 841,000 people have been tested in Indiana, with 8.8% testing positive. Tonight, Metro Police are trying to figure out who vandalized the Black Lives Matter mural on Indiana Avenue. Investigators believe it happened overnight, just a week after the mural was completed. Troy Washington now with the impact this act of vandalism is having on the community.
This mother wanted nothing more than to highlight her daughters in her latest project. Their faces are part of the Black Lives Matter mural. After seeing their reaction to being included, she's dreading having to explain to them that someone tried to destroy this positive picture.
They have no idea that racism exists. I haven't had that talk yet, but I will one day. And it hurts to know that something that's so uplifting and it's supposed to be, you know, us coming together and just saying that we matter too. It hurts because this is what you do.
Ashley Robinson can't believe this white paint is now covering some of her masterpiece.
I came to make sure that their faces weren't defaced, but I see that on my youngest, her crown, it has a little paint in it. But I'm going to repaint it, and I'm going to make sure, like a lot of us have to do, and to remind them and to remind everybody in this world, put your crown back on, lift your head up.
She says right after she fixes her daughter's crown on her head, she's going to work on restoring the work of art back to its original glory. Police are investigating the vandalism they believe took place overnight.
I'm praying for you. I know that you have to be hurting somewhere inside. I know that this is an act of hurt, and I don't know what trauma you've experienced.
This artist believes whoever did this missed the message in the art.
We matter too. Our futures, our dreams, we all matter. And the butterfly holding the black dreams matter. It symbolizes, hope. I don't want us to die as caterpillars. Like, let us grow up to be what we were destined to be, for us to walk and be in our purpose.
We reached out to some of the artists who worked on this mural, and they say they are upset but not shocked, and this won't stop the movement. Her only message to the person behind the vandalism:
whoever did this, I don't want you to feel like me being sad or somber is me being defeated, or any of us being defeated. All you did was, we're gonna fight harder, and we're gonna say we're showing you guys that our lives matter as well.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. Brand new equipment for youth baseball players on the west side was stolen this weekend, according to the Ben Davis Little League. Tonight, we're learning thieves also stole the soccer and football league's equipment as well. Leaders with the program say the thefts happened sometime Friday night from the Wayne Sports Park on West 21st Street and Girls School Road. They say someone broke into their storage facilities. From the baseball program, they took bats and the new catcher's equipment just purchased this year. Leaders say this is upsetting because the thieves are stealing directly from kids in their community.
We put in a lot of effort to make sure that these kids have a season, and we're trying to get back to a little bit of normalcy with COVID-19 happening. We're finally ready to roll, and this happened, so it's very disappointing, very disheartening.
Just having equipment, the equipment can cost $150 per set of equipment, so for them to take that, a lot of the children don't have that money to be able to bring their own equipment, so we provide that for them, so it's a direct hit to them.
After learning the news, a Wayne Township teacher started a GoFundMe page to help raise money to replace some of the equipment. Within just hours, they surpassed their goal thanks to more than 50 donations, including a large donation of $3,730 from ESPN commentator Kirk Herbstreit. After learning about the football and soccer programs being impacted, they are still collecting for the GoFundMe, which at last check has over $6,000. If you know anything about this theft, call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Kyle Mount standing by.
Yeah, and Nicole, today our first day of the month above average for temperatures. That summer heat is back almost to 90 degrees this afternoon in Lafayette. 88 was the top number in Indy, and those temperatures slow to cool this evening. We still have numbers in the lower to middle 70s, 75 in Indy, 73 right now in Bloomington, and Lafayette at 76. We find ourselves between a couple of complexes of some rain there south of the Ohio River, another one that's traveling across Lake Michigan, but I think we're going to kind of fill that in as we go into tomorrow morning. This is a look at TrueCast as we get to around 4 a.m. Just some very light showers, but look at what happens. We actually get some thunderstorms developing here and continuing to fill in. And since 6 o'clock, the models have kind of come in encompassing more of central Indiana than it did earlier. So as we go through the morning and even the early afternoon hours, you can see these showers and thunderstorms that will be sliding toward the south and east should get a little break as we go into tomorrow afternoon. But there is a marginal risk that as those storms go through in the morning, could have some gusty winds across especially the western half of central Indiana. We'll take a look at another round of thunderstorms moving in just a few minutes.
All right, Kyle, thank you. With more than 5 million cases and a rising death toll from the coronavirus, the U.S. is in the midst of a huge economic crisis. This weekend, President Trump took action to give struggling Americans a boost, but is he legally able to carry out his plans? The very latest straight ahead.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Sobering new numbers tonight. The U.S. now surpassing 5 million confirmed cases of the coronavirus, the most of any country in the world. Meanwhile, parents are facing difficult decisions over whether to send their children back to school. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert with the details.
The U.S. now surpassing 5 million confirmed cases of coronavirus. Kansas City among 9 cities warned by the White House task force they are in danger of becoming new hotspots.
We're seeing a lot of activity that has been against public health advice. House parties of up to hundreds of people, a lot of backyard parties.
Chicago's mayor threatening to shut down the lakefront, posting these images on social media after witnessing what she called reckless behavior. Texas reporting a record high 7-day average of positive tests, suggesting the virus is still spreading rapidly. Nearly 1 in every 5 people testing positive. In Ohio, nearly 900 new infections reported today. The state now surpassing 100,000 confirmed cases. Parents now facing difficult decisions. New numbers show 97,000 children were infected with the virus in the last 2 weeks of July. Leah Wampler's 8-year-old son, one of nearly 600 children sickened by the COVID-related illness, multi-system inflammatory syndrome.
Decision needs to not be made on the falsehood that children are not affected by this.
This Georgia high school switching to remote learning after nearly a dozen students and teachers tested positive for the virus. The district rescinding suspensions of 2 students who posted images of crowded hallways.
It was worse than I thought it would be because I thought more kids would be wearing masks, and I thought social distancing would be attempted in the school, but it wasn't.
Notre Dame Stadium hosting a mass to welcome students back to campus. Social distancing and masks required. After lawmakers failed to reach an agreement, President Trump bypassing Congress, signing 4 executive orders on Saturday for coronavirus relief, ordering a $400 a week extension of unemployment benefits, states required to provide $100 for each unemployed resident.
Most states will take months to implement it because it's brand new. It's sort of put together with spit and paste.
We have to get money out to the people. They're much more inclined to make a deal now than they would have been 2 days ago.
The president also enacting payroll tax cuts. Republican Senator Ben Sasse writing, President Trump does not have the power to unilaterally rewrite the payroll tax law, calling the president's action unconstitutional slop. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Made it through the weekend dry. We are not going to make it through the week dry, though. Our weather pattern changing, and you felt some of those changes today. The heat, the humidity back here, and it's a little muggy out there tonight with temperatures still sitting in the 70s, 73 in Martinsville and Bloomington, Indy at 75, and Lafayette at 76 degrees. Tomorrow morning, yeah, you might want to take along the umbrella, allow a little extra travel time, because I do think we'll have some scattered thunderstorms across the region and potentially some pockets of heavier rainfall with temperatures that start off around 70 degrees. So those numbers aren't going to fall too far tonight. Here's a look again at TrueCast. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, you can see those thunderstorms developing across central and northern locations, and then they'll continue to slide toward the south and east from there. May see some of these storms moving over some of the same locations, so some localized flooding issues not out of the question, especially you get in and around the city and the water doesn't have a lot of chance to recede there. But as we get into the afternoon, should see a break in the activity. It will be short-lived. We'll talk more about that in a second, but here's a look at that Monday planning forecast. And after we get rid of the thunderstorms, we'll have partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies and should be enough dry weather that temperatures recover into the middle 80s for that afternoon high. A few locations could actually get into the upper 80s once again. 88 in Columbus, 87 in Lafayette, and Indy at 86 degrees. Mentioned that break's going to be short-lived. This is a look at TrueCast as we get to 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Yeah, pretty nasty looking line of thunderstorms knocking on the door here. That will slide in from the west, and this line could have some gusty winds, possibly some hail. We talked about that marginal risk covering the western portion of the state right now. We may see that expanded here as we go into tomorrow morning, so be sure to check in with Todd Clausen starting at 4:30. As we go through time here, you'll see those thunderstorms should move pretty quickly tomorrow night, and as we get into the overnight, then things dry out. Want to show you the rainfall potential potential and see where we could have some locations picking up over 2 inches of rainfall. So that's why there's a concern of some localized flooding if those storms do move over some of the same locations. So make sure you got the free RTV6 and Storm Shield apps. That Storm Shield app will send any alerts right to your phone. And we are going to stay in an active weather pattern here. Daily chance for about 30 to 40% here of seeing those showers and storms each day this week. And actually looks like that will continue into next weekend. The 7-day planning forecast here. Again, not all day washouts, but occasional chances for rain. So keep the umbrella handy with those highs in the middle 80s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. With a week to go until the Democratic National Convention, former Vice President Joe Biden's vice presidential vetting process appears to be entering its final stages. We'll have the latest coming up. Discussions on hate and racism can be difficult. That is why every Tuesday this month, RTV6 and Radio 1 will host a conversation exploring racial issues in Central Indiana. The next topic is called The Now, the current racial climate in our community. Watch Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the RTV6 Facebook page. The Democratic National Convention kicks off on August 17th, and it will look very different from those in the past. There will be no huge gathering. The event will focus on video and live stream speeches. Among those who will be speaking, Joe Biden's running mate. The former vice president is expected to announce his choice sometime this week. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert with the details.
Presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is expected to announce his running mate this week, having said he will choose a woman. Dr. Jill Biden telling CBS she and her husband have discussed different potential candidates.
It's got to be Joe's decision, who he feels most comfortable with, who shares his values, and that's what he's always said that he and Barack had.
With less than 100 days until the election, the nation's top counterintelligence official sounded the alarm, saying Russia is working to denigrate Joe Biden and boost President Trump's candidacy, while China views President Trump as unpredictable and wants Biden in the Oval Office.
Yes, it is absolutely true that Russia is trying to interfere. Trump is resisting. Why does Donald Trump not want to stop Russia from interfering in this election?
One means of foreign interference, posting false or misleading information on social media.
It's going to be really important to take a pretty skeptical view of political information that we see on social media, knowing that the sources of it may not be reliable.
Voter safety a concern amid the coronavirus pandemic. Many voters may be looking to cast their vote by mail.
People are a little uncomfortable showing up in person for some place that could have crowds, so they're availing themselves to the convenience of kitchen table voting.
The president has been critical of mail-in ballots.
The biggest risk that we have is mail-in ballots. It is a much easier thing for a foreign power, whether it's Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, many others, people, countries you wouldn't expect. It's much easier for them to forge ballots and send them in. It's much easier for them to cheat.
But his administration has been supportive of absentee ballots. Election officials maintain absentee and mail-in ballots are virtually the same thing, and both are secure. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington, D.C.
President Trump appears to be exploring how he could get his face added to Mount Rushmore. The New York Times reports his aides reached out to South Dakota's governor last year. The governor reportedly gave Trump a replica of Mount Rushmore that included his face when he visited July 4th. She spoke about Trump's interest in appearing on the monument in 2018, and the president had talked about it a year earlier. Mount Rushmore is a federal monument that depicts President George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the final check your forecast after this break. Crews dealt with a sticky situation in downtown Indy today. A semi-truck carrying a load of honey overturned on the ramp leading from Interstate 70 eastbound to Interstate 65 northbound at the South Split. The truck's driver was not injured. The ramp was closed for several hours after the crash, but has since reopened. A recent stretch of nice weather would have been perfect for some baseball, but the Indian season got wiped out by the pandemic. The pristine grass at Victory Field will be getting used for a unique new setup later this month. Brad Brown has a closer look in tonight's Sports Extra Spotlight.
The rest of the summer will pass without any more baseball at Victory Field. But soon the crack of the bat will be replaced by a different sound.
We've got, we think, the best greens in the city out there on our field, and we thought if our crew could trim them down even tighter than they normally do for a baseball game and put some flags and some cups out there, we could create a pretty cool experience out here for everybody.
The Indians are getting set to host the Lynx at Victory Field, a 9-hole course that's something like mini golf for big kids.
This year, no Indians games. It opened up a whole new canvas of opportunities, a time where you don't really need to worry about the damage that you're doing to the field nearly as much as you normally do, time where you don't feel like you're stuck between 8 days where the team is on the road and you have to get everything piled into there.
9 tee boxes will be set up all around the stadium. It starts with the first just beyond the left field lawn, works around to the right field corner and grandstands, and finishes up behind home plate in the new Elements Financial Club level.
We wanted to try to create as immersive of a fan experience as we could. So the 9 tee boxes take you all the way around a 360 panorama of Victory Field. So you get every angle of the ballpark and of downtown in your background.
To transform the ballpark into a golf course for a weekend is exciting. It's something different, something new, and this is 2020, so we're used to nothing being normal this year.
Joey Stevenson and the award-winning Indians grounds crew will be mowing 9 greens into their outfield and infield grass. Holes will be placed to create a challenging but fun course, with holes ranging from just 50 yards to 140.
So normally we mow at about 1 inch. Our greens will probably get down to about a 1/2 inch just to give that contrast. And we'll set the holes and probably paint a few bunkers out there and some hazards and maybe a couple other surprises before the fans arrive, and hopefully it's an enjoyable experience.
The game is set up so that each player gets 3 shots per hole. Your score is better based on how close you are to each of the 9 pins. It's meant to be played mostly with a 9-iron or a pitching wedge. You can bring your own clubs, or they'll have some available there at Victory Field. It is open to golfers of all ages and skill levels, and tee time reservations are on sale now. They'll be starting at 10 a.m. on August 28th, 29th, and 30th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Groups will be spread out to allow for social distancing. It's $39 each, $140 for a foursome. They also have a premium group package available in the Yingling Landing, where you play the whole course from that spot with drink service and a private bay. All of the information can be found online at IndyIndians.com. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
All right, Brad, thank you so much. Well, remember the feeling of hearing a song you really like for the first time? Well, twin brothers from Gary, Indiana have made an entire YouTube channel by showing their reaction to their first time hearing a song. But they aren't just any songs. A lot of the tunes are much, much older than those young men.
I ain't never seen nobody drop a beat 3 minutes in a song.
Well, their YouTube page is called Twins, the New Trend. They have reviews of all kinds of music, from Dolly Parton to Salt and Pepper to opera as well. Their videos have more than 21 million views since they created it 5 years ago. Good idea there, huh, Kyle?
Yeah, cool concept. I don't think we'll hear anything in the air tonight around central Indiana, but by tomorrow morning, we will have some scattered thunderstorms and another round as we go into the evening hours. Those temperatures topping out in the middle 80s for us as we look at the 7-day planning forecast. Each day has a chance for a little bit of that wet weather with highs in the 80s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Have a great night.